welcome once again, everybody, to our BETT Talks with Good Future Foundation. I'm absolutely delighted and honoured, in fact, to be able to welcome Bukky Yusuf to this session. Bukky, how are you doing today? How's your BETT experience going so far?
I always love it best. There's so much to do.
You're a big fan?
Absolutely, yes. It's good. It's nice. It's a nice mix of learning, like learning from, other educators, seeing the new things in technology as well, and catching up with old friends as well. So yeah, lovely mix, I think.
Excellent. Very, very glad to hear that. We're really always encouraged to learn from you and to hear more from your observations around particularly what's happening in the AI space, how things are evolving, and how that's impacting particularly SEND students.
Yeah.
Maybe before we get to that, it would be helpful for our audience to know just a little bit about your environment, your school, where you work, and your interests.
All right, no, thank you. So my school is Edith K. Independent School, independent of local authorities. It's quite different, and it's different in how it's set up. So we have 20 young people who are aged 14 to 19. All of them would have come from mainstream school settings. All of them would have been out of mainstream settings for approximately at least 10 months. So they've been out of education and things like that. And all of them will have what we call educational healthcare plans. So specific ways of ensuring that we support their social and emotional mental health as well as teaching and learning needs. So most of them will join us when they're around about, say, like year 10. Sometimes you have some who join us in year 11. So you haven't got that long to prepare them for qualifications. So irrespective of their starting point, we always try and make sure they leave us feeling part of a school community. So you're building the social cohesion aspect as well, the sense of belonging. And also ensuring they have qualifications to go on to their next steps, whatever their next steps are.
And where does technology fit in amongst all of this? Because this is a passion of yours, is it not?
Yeah, it's a passion of me and some of my colleagues as well. We are very deliberate and mindful of how we use tech. So there's one particular tool that we use, which is quite common, like I refer to as one of the big three, but we use it in, I suppose, the most simplistic of senses. The reason why we have to take care is the fact that particularly when it comes to the mental health and social and emotional aspects, we need to be mindful of what we encourage our young people to use in a school setting, because some of them, in terms of their IT skills, absolute brilliance, and they could go on and do things beyond our control as well. So we're very mindful and therefore very deliberate and quite slow in the adoption of particular AI tools. So right now it's minimal, and it's a deliberate focus as well, because we're still exploring in terms of the tools that are available, having the conversations, even from a strategic viewpoint as to what would be the best things to put in for our students and for them to use within the school and beyond the school. And then also think about how we have the conversations with parents as well.
So where does your passion in this space come from? Because you speak a lot, you're out and about sort of telling people
where does
how to approach this.
Yeah,
where does that come from?
I think my passion generally comes from the fact that technology is a lever, and I love the fact that it has the potential to do things that we can't ordinarily do. So, for example, you could use it for students who find it maybe difficult to put their brilliant ideas on paper. They could use maybe like voice to text, So where it has a role to transform the learning or capture the learning or shine a light on the learning that may not happen within a classroom setting, I think that is what I'm always looking to see what the technology can do. I think more recently I've become more cautious because of the, like the law of unintended consequences. So you may be really enthusiastic about this, particular thing. As I say, my students, they might be, like classified as having SEN. Some of them are brilliant when it comes to IT. So, and, they could really go deep into it. So we've got to be mindful of that. So now I think, okay, what do I want them to do with this? And always think about, okay, what else could they do that I need to, try and surreptitiously warn them about. Sometimes you can't deliberately, like, for example, for some young people, if you tell them not to do something, they'll go and do it. So we've got to be mindful about the messages we give across as well about being safe, and particularly also being mindful as to whether the information they receive is true or not. And ironically, Daniel, as well, and this is one of the, interesting things, for some of my young people, using AI is a no-no. It's cheating.
From their perspective or from the schools?
From both.
Okay.
From their perspective. From the school, no, it's a tool.
Yeah.
It is a tool. From young people's perspective, if you're using AI, you're cheating. You don't really know what you're doing. And so it's really interesting trying to have the conversation. Say, actually, there is a potential to do more things from that. So yeah, it's a long-going conversation we're having, and therefore focus of how we develop and roll out AI. Hence why we're doing it slowly.
And how do other teachers at the school respond to this particular approach?
You've got across the spectrum. So I think many are quite cautious, if I'm honest, because they don't quite understand about the full potential of AI, and they're fearful of doing something wrong. So that you've got that, but some who are just worried about AI because of what we hear in the media, it could do things wrong or give you the wrong information. You could become de-skilled. You could, all of those considerations and things like that. And I think that again is another element of our cautious approach right now. Yeah.
How do you offset that with your enthusiasm for what's happening in the space?
So what I basically do, that's a really good point, is just share what's out and available. And say, there are certain schools or educators who are using this particular tool, and it could do X, Y, Z. And we could think about from our own perspectives in the first instance, well, how could you use it? How could you use it in the subjects that you teach? How could you support the young people with that? So it's a conversation rather than an enforcement about that. So I just make people aware about what is out there. So at least there's a growing sense of an understanding about the different tools that are available, rather than not engaging with it at all. I just think a total not engaging with it at all, I don't think is the right move. Even if you don't do anything with it, I think it's important to be aware, particularly if young people are asking about those tools as well.
So we're in BETT at the moment, the biggest EdTech event in the world. Lots of teachers are here for the first time.
Yeah.
Lots of digital leads are here for the first time. It's a little overwhelming, a bit of a bombardment on the senses.
Yeah.
How do you speak with other teachers, perhaps about navigating spaces like this and how they can think through responsible adoption of AI when everything around us is about
that's
particularly saving time?
So what I say is, which tools are you looking for in terms of for the needs of your students, or maybe generally from the school's needs and perspectives? So think about those particular tools. And then what I basically did is map out where you want to see, because it's huge. Normally I spend about 2 days because you want to go around and see what's available, what catches your eye, and then go around to have those conversations and find out more about it. And you can get lost in it because it's just so big. So be clear about the type of tools that you need, which particular companies will actually sell those particular tools. And then with the, you've got the BETT app, you've got the BETT, map out where they are and go visit them first and foremost. And what I'd also say in addition, come with your questions. Now, the Chartered College of Teaching, what they do, they've launched a group, I think it's the EdTech editorial board, basically educators. And they've given like a list of questions to consider about the tools, also in terms of compliance as well. We need to be careful about compliance in GDPR. So whether the teachers actually visiting here are the person who'll be responsible for implementing it, they need to have an understanding about that, because they may need to report back to a senior leader or head teacher or like whole staff. Be clear about the GDPR aspects as well and have those conversations. And also have questions about, well, how can you monitor that it's doing what you're saying it's going to do? I think they're a very important question to have, because they will form part of the milestones that you look out for in terms of impacts. And I think impact can be in all different ways. It could be student engagement, student learning, so you come to lessons. There's various ways we can measure impacts, getting clarity on that as well.
And what about when it comes to like the world beyond school? There's a great deal of conversation at the moment from teachers around, yes, there's the impact of what this technology can do from a teaching and learning context, but also young people need to know and understand how it works in order to have the skills necessary for the world of work moving forward. How much emphasis do you think needs to be put on that when it comes to choices we make?
I think now more than ever. So you have a lot of conversation with schools talk about digital literacy or digital media. And basically, it's not just the using a tool for tool's sake, but understanding the principles of the tool and what it can actually do within a classroom setting and beyond. And also for them to, I think now more than ever, as I say, misinformation. I'm being able to identify information that is correct, even from reputable AI tools as well. They don't always get it right. And I think it's about teaching young people not to outsource their thinking. Yes, it's great as a tool, but don't give up all of your thinking and understanding to it and just copy it. You know, like for example, like what we did with Google and Wikipedia and things like that back in the day. There's still, I think schools need to teach young people about the skills that they can adopt irrespective of what their setting is, and basically teach them to live in a digital era, an AI era, which is what we're in right now.
Are there any tools in particular that are particularly conducive to the SEND environment? Ones that
There are some.
use more than
I don't know if we're allowed to name any, but there are some particular tools. There are some particular tools that are really good for SEND students because it can help them in terms of planning or organizing or supporting their executive functioning. They're really good. So it can actually help them, you know, like splurge all their ideas and help sort it out, or brainstorm or give them mind maps about how to revise, for example, or things they can actually do. There's a whole load of things. So there are particular tools that we use. And again, it's being mindful about which tools, because one tool that may work for one student, this is the thing as well, may not work for another. So it's being really cognizant about the range and the facility features. And that's why I always say about starting with what we've got first. We use a particular, I mean, you know, like one of the big three, as I call it, but we don't explore it. So, for example, voice to text, we can use quite easily. Closed captioning, for example, screen reader. I think we need to get more cognizant and confident in using those tools we have, because I think that will build our confidence in using other applications. Because once you've learned to use one particular application, you find that the features are quite similar in others. And I think that will aid confidence in transferring from one type of tool to another.
Finally, Bukky, I wanted to ask you about professional development of teachers when thinking about AI. Okay, we're not alluding to specific tools in this example, but should we be? And when we think about what good professional development could look like for teachers in this space, what does that look like for you?
For us, as I say, we're still at the very beginning of our AI journey, but it's about being clear about the needs of the young person and tools that could facilitate that. And again, it's a conversation about hearing what people have actually heard or not. And for example, if they've not heard of any tools, I can actually introduce some things like that. We get some external people to talk about those particular things and we try it out. But we don't try it once. We repeatedly use it so that you hear about it, you look at the main features, you go away, you try it. You come back and talk about your experience with it, you know, the benefits of it, maybe even limitations, or things to be real about that. And then when we go back again, so for other staff, sometimes staff would actually talk about the good practice or the unexpected benefits as well. It has to be a repeated carousel, not too overwhelming with a specific feature of what you want to do, but also always with the idea about bringing it back to share that collective practice so we can learn from each other. And sometimes as well, what you can do is you can have buddies. So for example, you know, like I might hear someone who's done something, a particular tool, and I think that's really good. I'd like to see it in action. And then I can use that. And yeah, so it's got to be collaborative, got to be what I refer to as bite-sized, not overwhelming, but everyone feels they can actually contribute and talk about what they've done, no matter how small it is. I think that's a start and a way to go.
And anything else around, for example, like AI and data, intellectual property, AI and safeguarding? I mean, these are big subjects as well.
They are huge.
How much time should they be taking up?
A lot. I think that has to go hand in hand with everything we actually do. And that's a huge conversation. And I think that is the crux of the hesitation in, say, like sections like mine in using that. We've got to be mindful of the fact that, particularly with SEND students, many who will be described as having complex learning and vulnerable students as well, they will have protected characteristics that we need to be mindful of ensuring that it doesn't go, you know, so the tool will use it for the context, it's not going to go beyond that. And being sure about the fact that it is extremely safe. I think in addition to that as well, when you're talking about SEND, you're often looking at learning that goes beyond the norm. So it's having an understanding about the large learning models and what data has been used to train the AI to see if the information in relation to students it gives is a true representation of where they are or not. So that's going to be, you know, key in assessments and things like that. The students may have spiky profiles. So key strengths in some areas, but perceived in quote deficits in others. Making sure the AI tool understands it's not a deficit and therefore penalizes them as well, I think is another thing as well. So there are lots of conversations and considerations, moving forward from this.
Great stuff, Bukky. Finally then, is there anything else that you've got your eye on here at BETT over the course of the next couple of days?
Gosh, can I be honest and just say having conversations with teachers? There are a few companies I'm going to visit their stores and things like that, for example. Yeah, but just having a conversation to see how things are going. I think there's a lot. It's like a kid at Christmas, isn't it? The fact that you can be razzle dazzled. I'm really interested in understanding more about AI and bias, and also understanding about how we can use the tools for SEND needs, because I think that is still an area that really needs to be explored more.
Excellent stuff, Bukky. It's always
Thank you,
such a
Daniel.
pleasure speaking with you. I always feel like I learned so much coming away from our conversations.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so
and
much
I'm sure
for
we'll
having
catch
me.
you again very soon.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.